Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog. As normal, we'll date stamp this. This one is year 3, blog 20, or in legacy numbers, blog 124. Yep, 124 weeks. And it's the 7th of July 2024. Happy July to everybody. And we'll just get the news out of the way. It's a big one on news, really. Can't say whether it's happy or sad, but I just want to reiterate something because I did get a comment. The news is a date stamp. It is there really to remind me and my nephew and niece what was going on in the world this week. It's not a place really to talk about opinions. I will put the odd one there, whether I'm disgusted by it or whatever. But I believe that everybody has the right to keep things to themselves, what their political orientation is, what they feel about death sentence, all of that sort of stuff. Because I did have a user that was anonymous. It was user 12 something or other. And he started off his comment, "You're just a Tory fanboy, aren't you?" And then went off with 6 or 7 lines about everything that the Tories have done, etc., etc. Now, I don't really state what my political agenda is or orientation. I'm a civil servant. I have to sort of keep that to myself for obvious reasons. I work in an IT department, so basically I'm not a minister. I'm not a politician. In fact, I work the computers in the courts. So really, the election is a big thing because it affects budgets, but that's about it. I don't think anybody that's in power really tries to change too much in regards to the courts. They will try to do or aid in reform. The prisons, the police, all of that sort of stuff, which has a bearing. But I don't go into how it affects our taxes, all of that sort of stuff. I am protective of my mother. I will mention whether I think one party would be detrimental to pensioners to another. But that would be, again, my opinion. And they're rare. So to the person that left the comment, I left a nice one for you. But as far as I'm concerned, saying I am a Tory fanboy, I think is a bit harsh. I've never turned around and said, "Oh yeah, Richie Sunak is brilliant and what he's doing is fantastic for the world and all of this sort of stuff," because I wouldn't believe that anyway. But I think I've always been fair and said I don't think any party is going to do very well. And I do totally mean that because it all depends on the state they leave the country whenever a new party comes in. And the state that the country is in can be for all sorts of reasons: wars, Brexit, all sorts of stuff. So I don't like to mention too many things, but Brexit is so many years ago now. And it was a referendum. It was a referendum. If I remember rightly, nobody really wanted it. But Cameron basically got so much heat to say, "You're not listening to us, we want a referendum," that he said, "Okay, we'll have one." Therefore, how we got to Brexit is in history. I, again, stay quiet on, did I vote leave? Did I vote stay? It was around the time my father had died only a couple of years before. My biggest chunk of time with the Conservatives has been around COVID. Would any of the parties handled COVID any different? Who's to say? Who's to say? And I'm just going to leave it there. Very harsh to turn around and say what my political orientation is when I've never denoted what it is. And I'm going to end it there. So let's talk about the news. War. So I've just written down the headlines. Russian shelling killed 3 civilians in Ukraine, in the southern region of Kherson on Saturday. Meanwhile, nighttime strikes left more than 100,000 households without power in northern Ukraine and cut off water supply to a regional capital. So again, it's all just bad down news. This is all just a date stamp. That's all I want this to be. And that probably isn't going to be a highlight, because what was happening in the UK was far more known around the world. So we'll get some sporting stuff out the way. I read today that Andy Murray's Wimbledon career is over, as I can't pronounce the name, Ravano, which I think is a lady tennis player, pulled out of the doubles, the mixed doubles at that, and Murray lost in the men's doubles on Thursday. He'd already announced that he couldn't play in the singles because of a recent back operation, and so that's it now for Wimbledon. Now, he did say he was going to retire this year, so I don't know how many more Grand Slams there are. This is what they call a Grand Slam for tennis. But that's, as far as we're concerned, for the UK tennis part, that's it now for Andy Murray. And it's quite sad, but we have to look at those things as being a part of what happens. And he did win Wimbledon twice, and that was a momentous occasion. Especially when you consider how long it had been since a British tennis player had won Wimbledon. It's all been Americans and so forth that have Sweden and so forth that won Wimbledon for the greatest amount of time of my childhood. So you can imagine, I was born late 60s, and what was it? The 2000s. Where we got an English tennis player. I only ever knew us never winning it. It's as simple as that, really. So then we get to the Euros, and yesterday England did get through to the semi-finals of the Euros after winning through penalties. So there's been a lot of scathing about England's play. We mentioned it all last week. They're through. You've got to turn around and say it was a better effort. It wasn't that much of a better effort. I believe they play the Netherlands in the next round. It's obviously supposed to get harder the further you get in, and they've reached the semi-finals again. Because remember, we have been here before. So, I clap my hands really and say, you got through, you did what you needed to do. There was, I believe it was a state of a line in the sand when it came to the penalties yesterday, because we've never been good at penalties. We have not. Kick the ball over the bar, kick the ball at the goalie, all sorts, whatever way you look at it. And you feel for the players at the end and you just know we're out. This time, I just saw players going up there that went, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly. And they just seem so focused. It's I'm not going to turn around and say they aim to get to penalties. I'm sure they want to win it without going to an extra half an hour, exhausting yourself even more, and then going to penalties. It's not what you want. But yeah, the state of play with England at the moment is they just need to be a bit more flamboyant, be a bit more daring. Just seems so pass, 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 pass. I mean, there was one point in that game where there was I think, was it a corner kick? Um, it obviously bounced off of another player back to England. They then kicked it back again, and it went back to the goalie from a corner. I mean, I know what my father would be saying. He'd be going, "You are? What's this?" And that's the sort of thing I think that infuriates the fans. It's the boring play. They're certainly not Brazil, are they? You know, I mean, when we talk about Pele and that, we look at those old games, you know. But hey, it's about winning, according to everybody. So, and at the moment, they're in it. So, I'm behind them. I hope other people that in England are as well. And then we've got Silverstone today. So we've got the Formula One. It's reached England. It's at Silverstone, just round the corner from me. I used to go there quite often. Haven't been for many years. I used to be able to go into the track, lane, because a friend worked there. I got a number of signatures, but I haven't been there really since Rosberg and Hamilton were paired up. So it's been a long time. But I'm looking forward to that this afternoon, if I can get this sorted out quickly. And then we've got the big story, which is the political map of England has changed. The party of power has changed hands. We are no longer under a Conservative government. We're under a Labour government. I'm going to wish them well. I do hope they turn things around. I think they're in a good place. I don't agree with some of their policies. I don't think they're very fair with certain things. But then again, equally, same with the Conservatives. It's interesting to note that this has raised the argument again on, is this first past the winning post a very fair system? There were a number of other parties, and there was one radio station that brought it up that said, if you think about it, the Reform Party, which is a fairly new party, got 14% of the vote, but it was, if you put that into numbers, it was close to 5 million, and there was no party that got anywhere close with the number of areas that they lived to get that many people to vote. In fact, about 1 million or so more, I think they said, and it would have been them that would have been in power rather than the first past the winning post, because it's not about area and so forth. There was another statement that said, as much as Labour now have 174 seat majority, the swing of gains was 2% over last year. Only 2% more of the whole of England voted for Labour. That's small. And it's noted as well that this was the second lowest turnout since 1885. 60% of England went out and voted. The lowest vote before that was 2001 with 59%. So, with a low turnout, a first past the winning post, Labour got in. That's all I've got to say about it. I gave that bit of a history lesson for my nephews and nieces. I'm sure they're going to be interested in knowing a little bit about that, because my father was very big on, not the politics, but he was very interested on who was in power, because he read the FT index virtually every day, because he had ISAs and all that sort of stuff, making sure that my mother was well kept for when he died. So, of course, he kept going, the state of play is not very good. You can base how the economy is going by this group of companies. It could be Alcan for aluminium. It could have been gas. It could have been electricity. It could have been anything in the FTSE index. And of course, we talked about it because I worked for Lloyd's Bank for a long time, and I had to put the FTSE index in, the top 100 companies of England, and put about whether their pre-tax profits were growing and stuff. So it was a very big thing for me to do with my dad. So, it's another reason why I've sort of like kept this one going for the news. But that's it. Again, a date stamp. Thank you very much for listening to that. We'll talk a little bit about me. It's been not a great week, an okay week for weather. It started off quite well on Monday. I went through work, no problems there, got some work done. In the evening, I got a thank you from my friend Mamemeister. I'd bought him a game for his new machine. And we noticed it was multiplayer, and he said, "Oh, should we try it?" The trouble is, we found out it was local multiplayer. In fact, all of the forums have mentioned that this Neo Sprint is a great game, but it's missed a trick. It's missed a trick, and the fact that you can't have internet multiplayer. So we looked around, and there was a similar game that I gave a free code to the Discord, but unfortunately, I think the code had been used. So quite nicely, Alan said, "Oh, it's in the sale. It's about £6-7. I'll buy it." So we bought it. We went into the lobby, and a bit of a mare of a time trying to work out how the lobby worked, and we got it going. The problem is how we were going to record it with voice, so we could hear each other, but Alan had a bit of a echo coming through. So I went through control panel on his machine because he's got Windows 11, I've got Windows 10. And we found and turned off certain microphones, which made it a bit easier. But there was still an echo. It got late. He had to get a plane the next day, very early in the morning. And we said we'd come back. He really did like this game he bought for £7. He went, "Oh, wow, yeah, this is nice. Certainly looking forward to this." And it's in the air on when we're going to do that. But it was a nice start to the week, really. Tuesday came and went, work, no big problems. I had a word with my manager about training again, saying that still nobody had come up to me in regards to, since I'd come back from my first heart procedure, what changes have been made. And I showed him the conversations, that there were very few in my chat channel, just to show you that nobody is coming forward. And so we got to Wednesday, and Wednesday there was a talk that I needed to do with one of my analysts. Nice guy, Andy his name is. And I happened to mention just at the end of our talk, I said, "Tell me something, why is it that the training that we used to have on a Tuesday has been stopped?" And he said, "Because everybody's learnt everything." And I said, "Whoa, not everybody has. I'm still in the background, and I'm still in the background. And I've mentioned before that you talk to our other analysts far more than you talk to me, and you've moved forward. So when you say this training is finished, what you're really saying is, as a partnership, you two, you've decided that the training has ended." And he said, "If you want to steer your own training, by all means do so. What we're saying is we've learnt what we can from each other." And I said, "Well, I think that's selfish. I think that's bad. We know full well that the one-on-one training didn't work last year. And so, obviously I'm going to have to tell my people manager that basically an avenue of training that I thought was working quite well has been stopped." He said, "Do what you want. I'm going to talk to my own manager." And he put the team talk phone down. It's almost like putting the phone down on me. And I don't like to hurt or upset anybody, but I was quite taken aback by that and quite upset. My hands were visually shaking. It's like, I don't want to upset this guy, but how can I not try and move forward with my career without pointing out that if there is 3 people that are involved in training, 2 people can't just make a decision and then just shut it down. They should have had a chat with me. You've segregated me. You haven't asked me. Unfortunately, what happened on Thursday, the manager was in the same building as Andy, and he mentioned at the end of the daily meeting that was the end of the training. I asked him if I could have a word with him in regards to my side, and he said no. Don't want a discussion, just want results. Take it as read, that avenue is closed to you, which bummed me out even more. So that's why it was a bad week for me. My hypertension did raise on Friday morning. I couldn't get to sleep Thursday. I went to the doctors. They told me to take an extra tablet, a particular one for the next 3 days, measure my blood pressure. I did tell them, well, I'm only at work for 1 day, and then at the weekend it's obviously going to drop. And they said, okay, then measure it on Monday and Tuesday as well. And it's nice to say on Saturday and Sunday it has come down. I've been fairly sick. Those things that happen dwell on my mind. You know, it's like, oh God, I'm not looking forward to Monday, but in a way I am looking forward to Monday because I want to get this over with. The only way to get this over with is by having chats, that sort of thing. So yeah, of course, while things are on your mind and where other things can't take you off of your mind, you feel you're like you've got an upset stomach all the time, you know, sick, tired, can't sleep, restless, that sort of thing. I certainly will be going into the daily meeting on Monday, and when they ask us how we all are, I'll be quiet. And when they ask what am I going to be doing today, I will mention probably about 4 or 5 words. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, thanks very much, that's it. Whether that makes any difference or not, probably not. But if they expect people to work as a team, then other people have got to work as a team. It sounds very throw your toys out the pram type thing, but when an avenue of a window is closed and you don't want to go down a grievance route, and I've been through one, don't want another one, then I'll just take it as read. I'll be nothing in this company. Live with it. And just do the job you're paid for. No more, no less. And maybe proactive after your heart operation to look for something else. So that was that, really. That's the work bit out the way. Wednesday was lovely, really, after that, because I did my live stream with Ian. That went on for the normal 4+ hours, covered just about everything. And we had a little chat, me and Ian, after the live stream, just to talk about some of the highlights that we had of that evening. And he wished me well for tomorrow, because that was the day where I was doing my own live stream with Denny. Yes, we were doing episode 4 of Del Boy and Denny Discusses, and this time it was under a sort of subheading Watch with Mother. Not that it was really about Watch with Mother, because Watch with Mother is children's TV really from the 50s to the late 60s, you know, mid to late 60s. It had a banner, Watch with Mother, because it was all about your mother and the child watching TV together and being educated, doing fun things, you know, stuff at preschool. And if your mother couldn't be there, then basically the presenter of the TV program was your mother. So that's why it was Watch with Mother. We were really talking about our childhoods, which is really when we were watching TV. It would have been early 70s. The Watch with Mother moniker would have been well dropped. But we had some of the best times watching TV shows aimed at preschool children, like Play School, Play Away, Bod, Mr. Ben, the Mr. Men, Jamie and the Magic Torch, Pipkins, all sorts, Finger Bobs, Chorlton and the Wheelers, Trumpton, Chigley. Oh, the list goes on. The list goes on. And everybody that I mean, I tried to go through the chat as fast as I could, but I wasn't doing very well. I gave an input and an answer to, and at the end, and it did go on for quite some time, Denny and I spoke about it, and we realised really there's got to be a part 2. What came out of that was that most people wanted to talk about things where they left secondary school for the day and watched the big boy, big girl stuff that would have been on from about 20 to 4 till about 5:45. And that would have included cartoons, children's game shows, educational, like Blue Peter and Magpie. And it also would possibly include summer holiday TV, where children's TV would be repeated with some scatterings of new stuff. And I said to Denny, do you think that'll be done in one episode? No. So we haven't decided if the next one is going to be the part 2 or whether we'll do something else, then go back and do a part 2, then do something else, and then do a part 3, because you don't want it all to be the same thing. It'll burn you out, and it'll become samey, possibly even boring. So watch this space, really. We all agreed it took too long to get us together again to do a chat. So we're going to try and do it sooner, maybe in the next 4 weeks. It's all based on holidays and people's time. Of course, and I'm looking to an operation as well, so I have to look at my own health. But the consensus was, we only had a couple of comments that it was great, but the numbers are rising every day as people watch it. Instead of it being live, they're watching it as a broadcast, like a repeat. And we just hope that the numbers increase. We don't want to do something that only 30 people will watch. We don't want to do something that only 4 people will turn up and watch. But I can only say that as I put the advert out for it, that only really my subscribers know about it, and what YouTube put out as an event that's coming up. I put it on Facebook around a number of places, but I haven't got an Instagram account, and I don't use TikTok and all of those sort of things. So it is what it is. But that was a highlight, Thursday. Friday, just work. In the evening, watched the normal things that would be on YouTube, chats and so forth. There weren't any movie chats that I actually watched. You'll hear about what I watched a little bit later on. And then Saturday is prep day for blog, and Sunday here we are. So that's it, really. So we've got that out of the way. So it's a little bit longer this week. Bit mixed, good, bad. So we'll move to the shout outs. And I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that does comment. Like I say, I'm not terrible with that person that left a political one. It's just that I'm surprised with how many times I've turned round, really, and said this is just a date stamp. 120, how many times? 124 times I've said that. So, what can you say? But, hey, wasn't upset. It wasn't offensive to me. Not at all. Big shout-outs, therefore, in no particular order, are Denny, Ian Hill, The Ramblings, Martroid, Mondo, Chelloveck, Movies, Wee Bob Art, Jambon, Down the Rabbit Hole, Colin Jones, a.k.a. Ponder, Steve's Gaming, Robert's Retro Gaming. And looking down this, pretty much 95% of those people have got channels. Every single one of them that have a channel I've watched and loved. The content in these people surprised me all the time. Doesn't have to be so slick it could be on BBC or ITV. It all depends on the content and how it entertained me, etc., etc. So thank you as well, therefore, for your content. Any of you that have done stuff this week, you'll hear about those that I've watched. But every single one of these people, thank you so much. You've made me feel like I'm wanted, needed, all of those things that I seriously do mean an awful lot to me. I know my mother needs me. I know she loves me, but I don't have that seeing somebody in town and having a cup of coffee experience anymore. And therefore, the internet has become that way of communication. Just like at work, it's all through Teams, Microsoft Teams, and so forth. We try to meet up, but sometimes it's impossible. You know, some people are in Manchester, all the meetings are in London. It's a long way to go. And if you're not in a good health place, it's also very difficult to do. Plus, you have to pay for your own train ticket and hotel and wait a month to get your money back. These are very difficult times, you know. So this is where I'm saying every single one of you, I feel like you just live next door to me. Do you know what I mean? And I want that to be known. From now on, that's how you are to me, regardless of where you are in this country. So for every single one of those, thank you so much. And so therefore we go into the actual comments themselves, what these people have actually been saying to me. Okay, so these are not in any particular order. The first one here is Gaming Royalty, Robert's Retro Gaming. Wow, we've all heard that name a number of times. Hopefully by now you've subbed to him. Fantastic channel. We'll talk about what he's done this week a little bit later on. And he starts off with Dell, a teleprompter. Wow, nice setup there. I hope it works well for you. Yeah, open on that one at the moment. It's been one of those weeks where I haven't really had time to try it. I did have a sticky point with the remote. It comes with a remote that hooks with your mobile phone. And every time I tried to key map, one would not key map, and I didn't know why. So I opened up a communication with the guy who wrote it. By its way, the teleprompter software was written by one person with an email address. And he's given me some fantastic advice. You know, he's told me how to reset all the key mapping in the app itself. And he's gone to the point of looking up the remote that I've got there, the model number, and finding out how you can reset that handset because it operates under Android and iOS. And you can turn on this device and hold down one button and it puts it into either Android mode or Apple mode. And they sort of cross-pollinate a little bit. So if it's in a mixed mode, and it has got a mixed mode, it could well be getting confused. When I was pressing Y, it was indicating it as B. Things like that was going on. So can't fault the support. Brilliant. So anyway, you've said all the best to you and your mum. I'll definitely pass that on, and I'll chat with you soon. I look forward to it, matey. As I look forward to all of your content. Thank you so much. And we move on to Wee Bob Art. He starts off with, salute, by the way, to Robert. Not heard of the moon. Haven't you? It's up there. No, I know what he means. It's that film. Not heard of the moon. We'll need to see where I can watch it. Thank you for your comprehensive answer to my question about songs. I did look up most of the ones I didn't know. For me, I do think I heard The Goon Is Good Enough while watching the movie, but I can't be sure of that. Yeah, now you know the dilemma. It's like, did I hear that song before The Goonies? Was it a promotional song? Did I actually first hear about it by actually going to the cinema and that tune just pop up? Very difficult to put your mind in that place when you're talking that far back. You know, we are talking for The Goonies. What? Approaching 40 years. In fact, it could be 40 years. A sort of a question for you. At home, I have a big screen and projector. However, when everyone heads to bed, I need to alter my sound setup and put on headphones, which are just in stereo. Have you ever had surround sound type earphones? And if so, do you have any thoughts, recommendations if I were to purchase a decent set of headphones? I'm not fussy on them, being in ear or overhead, etc. Anyway, all the best and enjoy your Saturday, 6th for the 7th, 24, when I am writing this. Cheers. Salute, my friend. Thank you so much. And an interesting topic, and one that could go on for quite a substantial amount of time, probably half an hour plus. Headphones. I don't generally use headphones, and there are many forums on it, but I've mentioned week by week that there is a guy called Techmoan, and he does all reviews on hi-fi equipment, headphones, car cameras, car cams, all sorts of stuff. And he's done headphones over a number of years. And because I don't really worry about headphones too much, I've tended to listen, take the information in and go, oh, that was interesting, and then not really remember it because it's not something that I'm going to be purchasing anytime soon. But for you, head over to Techmoan. What I can give you is my personal knowledge on the subject, which is there are now new sound formats, Dolby Atmos. There's the old ones, DTS, Dolby Digital, etc., etc. Surround sound, stereo, mono, etc., etc. And there really isn't one headphone that is a master of them all. And they all tend to get your attention for music only, really. They have now started to put a lot of development time, I think, into TV watching, but not so much movies. And the reason that I think they pry away from movies is how complex the sound system works. The Atmos sound system is a system that not only aims its sound up and bounces off the ceiling towards you, you've also got the front speakers and you've also got the side speakers, which basically also aim yourself forward, plus of course the subwoofer. And to put all of that in each ear of a headphone, I don't think it's possible, actually. Your ear is designed to pick things up ambient, and when you cover your ears, you really only have a small channel to push this through. When I'm going along my walks, I use these Samsung Galaxy Pod Pros, and they are fantastic. Don't get me wrong. And they even have on my phone, when I first start these up, it comes up with a test program where it does an ear test. It just plays a sound and it says, "Did you hear that?" You answer one on your pad. It plays another one higher and higher and higher and higher and higher till you answer two. No, can't hear that anymore. And it then sets up the whole of the speakers for you in your ear. And then when I'm playing music, it is night and day. It does sound so much better. But how many, what you have to ask yourself is, how do you put a 9.1 surround sound system into a headset? The cones can't aim anywhere other than towards your ear canal. It won't bounce off of skin like it bounces off of walls, glass, and ceilings. I can therefore only tell you that you get what you pay for. I would stick possibly to a brand that you know. For me, that would be Sennheiser. I've bought no end of Sennheiser headsets through the years. But I'm sure there are many brands that are equal and at lower cost. Sennheiser have always been quite expensive. Somebody turned around and said the best ones that you could possibly get if you're looking at the lower brand is buy a gaming headset, like a Turtle Beach one, because they try to imitate Dolby via software. Not sure how that would work with your amp, though. So, again, that would be an unknown for me. So, not a great answer for you, but I've given some advice and what I know and a place for you to search. I hope that gives you some way forward. So, salute, my friend, and thank you so much. And we'll move now to Denny, my friend Denny, who I've already talked about what we did on Thursday. Hopefully this is going to be chapter and verse with some nice happy tones. With the latest election, I doubt it, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's not even mentioned. So here we go. Hiya, mate. Still on a high after our Watch with Mother stream. What a wonderful night spent with friends and their nostalgia and stories. Saying that, I've yet again caught some sort of bug and I'm feeling absolutely exhausted. Hope you're feeling a little better within yourself. Well, you know a little bit more now that I've mentioned it. As for King Kong scalpers, these people are absolute parasites. Yes, I agree. That was from last week, where there's a release of King Kong in a steelbook for only 2,000 units, and they all went in 15 minutes. It's difficult to police as well, as you can buy from more than one outlet. True, HMV, Amazon, Zavvi, World of Books, the list goes on. They should at least say you are limited to one per address. Again, difficult. How will Zavvi pass on the information that they've sold to Amazon, etc., etc.? And they create bots, and then they'll do it to multiple addresses. Whether they've got multiple credit cards, I don't know. But they've always found a way around it. Don't see that ending anytime soon. If it was a bigger title, I'd be very upset. There's a title that's coming out this year called The Hitcher. Everybody's been talking about it. We've finally got a date on when it's going to go out for pre-order. We don't know whether they're going to do a limited run of it. But I tell you what, everybody that I know that's in movie chats are all going, I'll stay up till 2 a.m. waiting for that to go to pre-order. And all I know with that, therefore, is that it's going to be a first come, first served, and it's going to be a shit fest. Because there's going to be people that can't buy it. And if they are going to want to buy it, they're going to have to go to eBay. And when they go to eBay, it's going to be scalpers. So, yeah. It'll be a very disappointing time for me because, yes, I do have quite a big collection of Rutger Hauer films. And I do remember The Hitcher quite fondly. But some people will probably looking at this now going, why are you getting upset about a film? And if you've got it on Blu-ray, isn't that good enough? And all of this. It's the collectors in us. Live with it. You know, I don't try to contradict anything that other people try and do. They have their passions. I'm sure there are people that are in sewing circles that are reading magazines to say that there's a new needle coming out for their new sewing machine and that there's only going to be so many of these in stock in this country and that they're all anxiously waiting to go down to the shop and get that needle. It's just as simple as that. It's what you've got a passion for. If we didn't have a passion for it, it'd be a very boring place. I'm going to see how you get on with that teleprompt. It might be a useful tool I could use myself. Yeah, it won't be very long. Just had a bit of a bad week and haven't felt up to fiddling about with cameras that you strap to the back and all of that sort of stuff, but that'll happen. I heard you mentioned you listened to talk radio in the car. I can recommend Gold, a mix of the 60s, 70s and 80s. Yeah, I've got DAB radio, so obviously I've got the whole national there. There's a number of channels that are there, but they never tune in. And I think that's because as you drive around, your DAB radio is picking up those signals, instantly putting it in the list. And then when you go to it and you go, oh, I haven't heard that one before, silence. And that's because you picked it up when you were in another county or something. You know, it's a little bit like that. You can clear those DAB stations down and let it pick up again. But it'll only fill up again. There's no real point. But I might do that because also they do change transmitters. So it might be good to actually clear it down and re-pick them up. I'll pick up the stronger signal. I also heard you mention CompuTeach. I did that course too. I felt the overall course were below average, bordering on a rip-off. Don't know whether they are still going as a company. No, nor do I. And I mentioned CompuTeach because I couldn't quite remember what the other one was. CompuTeach were very bad. I spent $3,000 on one course, passed it just. No, a much better one, but still have it as its problem is CompTIA. CompTIA are very good. And the Microsoft courses that you can get under all sorts of different training houses. The trouble with CompTIA is that they changed their policy about 12 years ago. If you pass their CompTIA Plus course, which is a basic computerized course that goes into administration slightly, but you have to know all about screen resolutions, sound formats, and all sorts of stuff, because that's what you do when you build PCs. You need to know about all the refresh rates and stuff. The trouble with it was you have to refresh every 3 years. But if you did it 12 years ago, 13 years ago, it was a lifetime. That qualification lasts a lifetime. Now, I don't know if the companies like computer firms recognize this and go, we don't recognize lifetime ones anymore. You're all now, that's old and you need to redo it. Go away and refresh that course or not. All I know is I think it's a bit harsh. If somebody goes in and says, my one's still valid, and another person goes in and says, well, mine just phased out 3 years ago, because as far as I'm concerned, you both are level with each other. You're both out of date, regardless if it says lifetime. So that's just my 2 pennies on that. But CompTIA Plus, is it CompTIA? I never remember these. Yeah, CompTIA Plus, the A+ certified program, is definitely one to go for. Thanks for answering my question on top C64 tunes. The ones I love to keep playing time and time again are War by Rob Hubbard, Hawkeye by Jerome Tell, Bombo by Ben Dalglish, Black Lap by Tim Folins, though I like most of Folins' output. As you said, most tunes were better than the arcade. Made me always wonder why we didn't use them. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Some things could be there because of license. Others could be because it just didn't sound right with the version that they had to do, because some of the games that were arcade conversions were cut down and even drastically rewritten and done a different type of version. I think Power Drift is a perfect example of that. You could not really put Power Drift, the Sega, was it the Sega 32 board on that one? Yeah. So you couldn't put that sprite scaling board into a Commodore 64. So, of course, it had to be written slightly different. So, of course, why not do the tunes slightly different? It all depends. It's artistic license. We'll go with that. Great question on vertical shoot-em-ups last week from Martroid on the Amiga. I quite like Mega Typhoon, Battle Squadron, and Swiv. And I mentioned Battle Squadron was one of the ones I mentioned. Swiv, got a like and a dislike for Swiv. There's no doubt about its pedigree, but there were so many there that were a bit like Tiger Heli and all of that sort of stuff. It was a good game, but and I think it's held up better than, say, Xenon ever did. So, yeah. Cobra starring Stallone is a guilty pleasure of mine. A typical 80s over-the-top action movie which I love. Yeah, it's each to their own again. Do you remember I said that we used to make fun of my friend Dottie because he used to go, oh yeah, Stallone at his best and all this. I said, you're joking, aren't you? God's sake, I'd watch Rocky over and over again than that piece of shit. And then, of course, we had the added advantage of playing the computer games. Cobra on the Commodore 64. Yeah. Another one where we go, not the best day in the Commodore's life is that game. So yeah, it's awful, by the way. I've actually managed to snag this week for my kids' cult TV collection the Saga of Noggin the Nog and Battle of the Planets box set. Been after both for a while, and I've kept the price below £130 for them both. Yeah, so you can just imagine how much this hobby of ours costs. £130, 2 box sets. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky because you go, are you mad? Children's TV, £130? But you go, hey, it's my money. I earned it. I was the person that had to sit at my desk hours and hours and hours doing a shit job to get the cash. I've saved up. I'll do what I bloody well want. And quite right. Stick to that. For me, brilliant. Do you know what? I couldn't be happier for you, mate. You've got 2 things that you've been waiting years for. The amount of times that I've had to wait years and years and years to fill a gap, and all because the price. So let's go to comics for a moment. There is 1 comic, 2 comics that people, whenever they talk about Spider-Man and its run, they say you must have in your collection. And they are issues 121, The Death of Gwen Stacy, and 129, the first appearance of the Punisher. To get what they call a high grade, which is really VF and VF plus and above, cost you £3 or £4 each for 1 comic that cost 25 cents back in 1972 or around that period. Mental, people will say. Paying that much money? And I've got to turn around and say, yeah, it's every time something comes up on eBay and I see it come up, I go, even if I had £2,000, I think I'd probably buy something else. And some people might say, well, then you're not much of a collector. But I am. It's just that I've got bills to pay. I know that the life expectancy of me and my family diminishes every year. And it's going to be at some point, I'm going to have to pay for a mortgage on this house, the repairs. Do I therefore take money that I've got, because I have got that saved up, that particular price, £2 or £3,000. Could I do that and legitimately pay for that comic and go, yay, I've got it now? When I know I've got a huge credit card bill that I've got to pay. And if I paid that money from my savings to my credit card, it would diminish it down drastically. So, or it would, if I lost my job, that would keep me going for possibly a month and a half, 2 months. It would definitely pay the bills minimum requirement for a while I'm looking. So you have to look at it like that. It's a luxury item, win the lottery type thing. So question for this week. Season 25 of Doctor Who is being released in October on Blu-ray. Yes, it was an announcement this week that Sylvester McCoy's Season 25 Doctor Who is out in October in a deluxe set for £55 on Blu-ray. What are your thoughts on the stories, how they compare to today's output, and how do you rate the season as a whole? Oh, wow. I'll try and be quick. 4 stories, as they were towards the end of Doctor Who. And remember, Doctor Who was cancelled at the end of season 26. The stories were Remembrance of the Daleks, The Happiness Patrol, Silver Nemesis, and Greatest Show in the Galaxy. A mixed season, a very mixed season. It should have been a fantastic season, being the 25th anniversary. It started off well. The very first story was Remembrance of the Daleks. If I was to give that a value, I'd give it 7 out of 10. That's being high, because Sylvester McCoy is one of my doctors where I say he had some good stuff. He had some very intriguing stuff that I was really looking forward to if it had continued longer. But for the most of the part, he wasn't my doctor, and I just didn't get his mannerisms. That's all it was. So I wasn't a fan at the time. Obviously, when you go through years, your opinion changes. And he's not a bad doctor at all. But it's just back then when I was watching it, it was like, oh, not him. Yeah, okay, let's watch it. So to give such a high score, really, to Remembrance of the Daleks, I think I'm right. I think it'd be poor to give it 6 or a 6.5. We'll give it 7. And the nice things about it was it went back to Totter's Lane. It went back to the school that Ian Chesterton was at. There were changes in the Daleks. You could now see a Dalek go up the stairs. That was a surprise shock at the end of one of the episodes. What's not to like about the Daleks? They weren't that heavily used too much when we got there. There'd been a story with Colin Baker. There'd been only one story through the whole of the Peter Davison era. And if you go earlier than that, then you're getting to 1981. So 3-4 stories in 6 years. Yeah, wasn't overused. So yeah, Remembrance of the Daleks, quite liked it. Next story was Happiness Patrol. Awful. Bloody awful. Offensive, nearly. Score, if I go on the nice side, 3. To give my actual want to give my actual score to it, 2. To have an enemy that's dressed up as a licorice allsort is stretching things to somebody of my age watching Doctor Who at that point in time. Story weren't that much cop either. Then we get to the next story. So we're half of the way through the season now. And out of a possible score of 20, you've got 9, possibly 10. So we get to Silver Nemesis. Silver anniversary episode of Doctor Who, 25 years. 3 episodes given to this. I thought it should have been 4. Definitely more thought and money went into this one, but possibly on the level of Remembrance of the Daleks. But the problem with Silver Nemesis was, I think the story was muddled and there were plot holes, if I remember rightly. Quite big ones as well, substantial ones. For that point of view, much better than the story before it. A 6. A solid 6 for Silver Nemesis. But just think about this for a moment. BBC 25th anniversary. This episode is the silver anniversary episode. I give it a 6. Yeah. And we end with The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, a 4-episode end of season story. Awful. Don't really like ones around circuses anyway. Found it boring. There's a protagonist in there an antagonist in there. Not much of one. 4 at best. My actual score possibly more a 3. Meaning that if I was to go on the light side of the whole season, it would get 20 out of 30. If I was to give a more accurate, it would be more 17, 18 out of 30. Not, therefore, the best season. So I've ordered the Blu-ray. Of course I want it. There's 2 substantial stories that I've mentioned in there already that I'm quite willing and happy to go back to and look at. So quite exciting. There will be lots of documentaries on there. It'll be a very whimsical reminiscent from me. Nobody thought at this, on the 25th anniversary, that Doctor Who would be cancelled. And I use that word wrongly, really, because it was never cancelled. It was put on incredibly long hiatus. Because you wouldn't see another Doctor Who episode until you got to the 90s. Mid at that. So it was off, 7 years? So, I think that really answers it. I don't really want to go too much more on it. How do I rate it and compare it to today's output? Well, we keep talking about what is my exact opinion of today's output. It's not for me. And if you were to ask me a simple standout question, would I like to watch season 25 of Doctor Who, or would I like to sit down and watch what Russell T Davies calls season 1 of Doctor Who, which is this last year just gone? Season 25 every time. That's because the Doctor that's being written at the moment is not my Doctor. Not written in the way that I want it to be written. But then again, it's not aimed at me, an old duffer, watching something that he used to watch in the 70s and 80s. That was my time. And I'm pretty sure Russell T Davies would turn around and say, that was your time. Give it to other people. Let them run with it. Let them enjoy it. Don't scully it just because it's not to you. My answer to that is, you're delusional. We don't need you to keep turning around and saying to us, be pro this, that, the other, in regards to your sex, race, and all of that. It's a science fiction program. It's not a political program. Don't bring your political agenda into it. Anyway, rant over with. I'm sure I'll probably get some backlash on that, but there shouldn't be. It's fun. Doctor Who is fun. I've just given my answer to Doctor Who's season 25, and I'd watch it every time over the current Doctor Who. So we move forward. My salute to you, Denny. Thank you so much. Obviously, dried my mouth out again. So we move to the next one, which is Ian Hill, The Ramblings. And he goes, hi, Delboy. Hope you and your mother are okay. Great to see you and Denny do your Watch with Mother live stream. I found it entertaining and very informative, though, as you know, my experience was from the 60s, and for me was not such a positive experience. Yeah, he was definitely in the Watch with Mother part. It was another world and a different time, which did nothing to stimulate my imagination. I can imagine, here, boys and girls, let's make a paper lantern. Yeah, can't be the best, where we had bod and finger bobs and all sorts of stuff. Thank you as always for making the Wednesday live stream so enjoyable and making me laugh and contributing such a lot to it. I watched the Grumpy Old Men film that you sent me, which you reviewed on your own channel. It's such a warm-hearted comedy. I think it would be good to watch at Christmas. Always been into older women, I thought Anne Margaret was lovely. Yes, she wasn't she? And I suppose really I ought to send you Grumpier Old Men. That's got Sophia Loren in it. Oh my God, what does she look like in that film? Watch it at Christmas. I think I mentioned that. I said it's definitely a film that you could definitely watch Thanksgiving. It is the lead up to Christmas. It wasn't exactly a Christmas film. It was, it's early winter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. You know what I mean? I tried to emphasize the things in a capsule review for me, that I hope that you guys pick up. It's the one-liners. The one-liners get me all the time. They're forever just being nasty to each other. Hey, moron, putz, shithead, all that. And then, killer witty lines. I think I mentioned last week, it says, oh, your cat crapped on my step again. The other one turns around and says, oh yeah, who said you can't train a cat? I'd love to be able to be quick-witted like that. But the shine out for me, the one that he just captivates the screen is Burgess Meredith, the dad in the film of Jack Lemmon's character. Oh my God, what a dirty old man. And what you must do with that film is watch the bloopers at the end while the credits are coming up. Even more, you can see the fun. You can see how much Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau love working together with each other, their friendship. And the lines that were coming out of Burgess Meredith that they took away, they went with the more conservative lines. My God. It's just a great thing. I'm glad you liked it. I was watching and reviewing a second season episode of The X-Files called Sleepless and was delighted to see Tony Todd of Candyman and Final Destination fame. I think as I work my way through all the seasons, I will come across some more well-known actors. Yes, you will. I'm just trying to think which ones come to mind. No, you're only in season 2. And yeah, you're definitely going to see some more. But they weren't probably quite so well known to Hollywood. They are now, if you see what I mean. Now, I think through fatigue last week, you missed out my question. Yeah, sorry if I did. Fatigue does get to me. I tried to do some pausing. Unless, my mother walks through and I'll pause it again then. So apologies for that. So now I think through fatigue last week you missed my question. So I'll ask it again. Do bootleg steelbooks exist? If they do, have you any in your collection? Best wishes and have a right grand time. I will get you to say a right grand time one of these days, you northerner. Do bootleg steelbooks exist? Oh, absolutely. I can't think that there wouldn't be. It's funny because I have bought some over the last year to 2 years, steelbooks that were only found in foreign countries like Italy, Germany, France, Spain. And there have been speculation. Is this steelbook a bootleg or not? Perfect example would be I got a Creepshow steelbook. It got mangled when it got here, but I fixed it as best as I could, and I got my money back. And I was told I could keep the actual steelbook. There is no steelbook of Creepshow anywhere in the rest of the world other than this one country. So is it bootleg? Question mark. It could be that Spain won a contract to license Creepshow in a steelbook format. Who's to say? Because we've got Blu-rays in this country and 4Ks that are not in other countries. And so have Germany, Italy, Spain, and France. Perfect example would be Pacific Heights. I bought that as a Germany media book. Everybody came up to me and said, Germany, bootleg. And I'm going, Possibly. Don't know. All I know is that I've only got a DVD of it, and the only Blu-ray I can get is in Germany. So I bought the Blu-ray in Germany. It's down to international licensing, we believe. But there you go. So another perfect example of a steelbook is one that you can now get over here, but you couldn't at the time. And that was a film called Ferrari with what's his name? Is it Alex Driver? So I've forgotten his first name. Alan Driver, Alex Driver. Think it's that. Ferrari came out last year. It was a Sky and Michael Mann production. Came out on steelbook in Italy. Nowhere else. So I ordered it from Italy. You can now get it in steelbook in this country. Same cover. Exactly the same. Same reds. Same disc. As far as I know. So is mine bootleg? No. I think it was because Italy got the license to produce a steelbook as a sort of like a boutique thing. It wasn't limited edition. It wasn't down to 2,000 copies or anything like that. These things go on all the time. So the simple answer is, I'm sure bootleg steelbooks is a thing. I'm sure I might have one, because how do I know? Other than really check the quality and UAC numbers and all sorts of stuff. But I buy from where I can get them. So that's that. I hope that answered the question then, Ian. I'm so sorry that I didn't get it to you last week. Thank you so much for our Wednesdays. Really love it. You've mentioned to me on the phone that Wednesday next week is the England semi-final. I'm pretty sure we can move it to Tuesday. Just give me till Monday when I go back to work to find out how good a day I have on Monday. After my week last week, things might have moved on, changed my demeanour. I might feel less exhausted, upset, etc. 95% I'm thinking, yeah, we'll do it Tuesday. Simple as that. Not a problem. Salute, my friend, and we move to Steve's Gaming, and we've got my friend Steve. And what can I say about my friend other than he's absolutely a joy to talk to, entertains me every week, absolutely flamboyant with how he plays games, and a complete bastard. I fucking hate you get almost a soul brother. Brother from a different mother. Anyway, he starts off, "Hi Del, wanted to hold off until after the general election to comment." You know where this is going. "I cannot believe we finally kicked out those corrupt, morally bankrupt bastards." See what I mean? "I'm not saying for 1 minute that Labour are great, but no one, and I mean no one, could be as corrupt and, yes, evil than the Tories. Anyway, good riddance. Also, I was staggered that Farage is in. Good God, no. That's where I was talking about reform. He could have been Prime Minister under a different system. Now on to your blog. Great as usual, and as always, really enjoyable. The England game was painful. I thought they were out, and the lucky sods fluked it. Tennis. Now, well, I don't watch it. Not a fan, as I find cricket more enjoyable. And that's saying something. Your streams recently with Ian and Denny have been a total joy. I especially enjoyed the watch with Mother one last night. So many lovely memories. Now a question. And I'm going to avoid the usual gaming and TV questions and say this. What's your favourite pre-1960s aircraft and why? Take care, my friend. As always, love to your mum. Will this comment survive? We'll see. It did. I made sure of it as best as I could. As soon as it came up, I put a heart. I checked. You're definitely in the safe zone. It was hidden. I had to choose comments in top comments to actually see it. I think the other method hid it. I just know I found it. Bit difficult, this one, because I haven't really thought about aircrafts in a long time. As a kiddie, I could not think about them. I used to buy Airfix kits and all sorts. It amazes me even now how fast we moved through aircrafts between World War One and World War Two, and how fast we moved into the jet age. When you consider that we could just about do flight at the end of the 19th century to where we are now. Amazing. But let me think. I'm probably going to go down the route of model kits that I can remember. And I remember the jet, the MiG-21F, which is a very early jet. And I think it was just its looks. Do you know what I mean? It had that long pointy nose that stuck out from the cockpit. It had those now sort of like classic wings, you know, the sharp angles that look like razors coming out of it. The small cockpit. The fact it looked like it was a tank in the air. You know, I mean, made of totally of robust that you thought, wow, that thing's really got to build up some speed. But when it does build up some speed, the weight alone, you know, the construction alone of that vehicle is going to make it go fast. You know what I mean? So yeah, that one is a jet. But then the next one is just what people say. I mean, World War II had the Spitfire. Some would say the Hurricane was equally as good. Others the Messerschmitt Bf 109, and I think there's an argument, isn't there, on which one was better, the 109 or the Spitfire. Who cares? It was the way that they looked. The Spitfire had that wingspan which sort of like went up at the sort of like an oval rather than the wings flat level with the body, and it just looks so majestic. It maybe it's just the paintwork, maybe it's just rose tinted glasses, but I definitely bought the Spitfire and the 109 and the Hurricane in Airfix kits. Loved them, and the pictures on the boxes will remain with me forever. Gorgeous looking things. Bit of a boring answer. I'm pretty sure you've got much better ones than me, matey. But those are the ones that stick out for me. Thank you so much. Salute to you, sir. You miserable bastard. Yeah. Love you to bits. We move on to Jambon, who I must get in touch with very shortly. It must be getting really close to Pinfest, and I really want to tell him how my health is and tell him how much I'm so looking forward to going. And by hook or by crook, I'll be there. The only reason I couldn't be there would be it was on the same week as my operation, which, for God's sake, let's hope it's not. So Jambon says, hi Del, hope you had a great week. Thanks for another excellent blog. Definitely worth waiting for Steve's comment. Yeah, because I put his comment at the end last week, didn't I? Think he stole the show with that. Totally agree with what he had to say about the Tories and shitball. Yeah, football. I think we've got a new word now, haven't we? We have to be put in the dictionary. Hope you enjoyed Clute. I watched it on Blu-ray and found some of the extras really interesting. Jane Fonda is incredible, and it was fascinating and inspiring to hear about all her activism over the years, including her opposition of the Vietnam War. Yeah, there's a documentary on Sky Arts called The 5 Periods of... I think it's called The 5 Periods of Jane Fonda. And it goes through a whole family thing. She didn't get on with her father for years and years. I think they finally made up on the film On Golden Pond, Henry Fonda being her father. very estranged. Um, but I'd seen Clute many times, matey. It wasn't the first time. I bought it on Blu-ray to replace my DVD. I have finally opened it. I did watch it because although I've got it on digital format on DVD, I did want to know whether the Blu-ray played, and I wanted to know whether the picture quality was better, and it damn sight was. A fantastic film, one that I definitely recommend. But as always, I always put that caveat: it's not for everybody. It's definitely a voyeurism. Watch these two characters go round each other, sort of thing, trying to solve this problem, this crime, this death. So yeah, brilliant. I have a question, if that's okay, and if you haven't asked it before, you always put that. Is there anyone, real or fictional, who you thought was cool when you were younger, but now you are older, you realise they were an arse, or worse? Alternatively, if there is anyone who you used to dislike, but now you admire, take care and all the best, sir. Oh, such a tricky one. I like to think of the best of everybody, and I tend to find I don't want to muddy my thoughts of them. I mean, there's so many that you could talk about, like a childhood hero of mine, Charlton Heston, but how he was looked upon by Hollywood at the end of his life because of his political orientation, along with gun license laws and all that sort of stuff, could sully you and say, "What an ass." But it doesn't take away his body of work for me. And then you could say the same for John Wayne. Very much a, no, I'm not going to say racist or anything. It's just he went, America is for Americans. And, he didn't hide behind that. So he was cool, and then I was diminished in regards to what I thought about him. It's a bit tricky. I mean, there's a feud going on between William Shatner and George Takei. In some instances, I'm now seeing that George Takei is a little bit bitter. But then again, for years and years and years, he's had resentment. This is how you treated me. Shatner's oblivious to it. Did I? Don't know. Can't remember. I brought you back for Star Trek 5. You're integral. I recognise you as a person. And then they have their little tit for tat battles on Twitter, or X as they call it now, I think, and YouTube and everything else. So no, mentioning those two has not tarnished my liking of both of them. I like them both equally. I just wish they'd bury that hatchet. Mel Gibson is probably the one that I'm tarnished the most. I don't think I've ever seen a drop in a character as much as that in my retrospect, other than say Kevin Spacey, who again is another one that was very high up in my opinion and now not so. I can't think of anybody else, matey. It's a very good question. I'd need deeper thought and deliberation on why. Do you know what I mean? But I think there's some there that are very characters that you can mulch upon and say a Marmite or not. You say take care and all the best, sir. My sentiments exactly to you. Salute, sir. Thank you so much. And we move to Martroid. Oh, thanks for those shooter suggestions. Looks like Alpha Mission 2 is available as a download for PS4 for a decent price, so I might have to pick that one up. A fruitful exercise then. Thank you. My pleasure. I hope you get pleasure from it. I mentioned that Alpha Mission 2 was one of those ones that came at a time where I had a new console I was half owner on, which was a Neo Geo, which cost hundreds of pounds, and each of the games were hundreds of pounds as well. And it just happened to be the free game that came with the console, and along with Magician Lord, I might add. And it was the one that me and my friend and Dottie played the most out of those two free games. Now it's probably as clunky as hell. Not worth your effort. But every time I load up the Neo Geo to see if a game works, that I've set it up correctly, I still load that game up and play it. If that says anything about it. So brilliant. Glad I was helping. Down the rabbit hole, my friend from the States. Great stuff, Deli says. I just tried out that game that fell out of my pocket and I ended up buying twice. Rubbish. Should have left it on the floor. Ah, well, we live and learn. Also at that show, I passed on a PS5 steering wheel for a great bargain. Yeah, I saw it $25. I wondered why you didn't go, having it at the time. Was I foolish to pass it by? It would have been fantastic for Gran Turismo in VR, but much like yourself, I'm running out of space. I don't think you were foolish. I think you were probably not. You were like me whenever I'm going to a convention. I tend to not want to go to the first stall and go, right, I'm buying that and that and that. I want to go round once, before I make up my mind, even if something appears to be a bargain. The other thing that made me think about it is how much of a bargain was it? Because it didn't look in the best of conditions. What if it broke? What if it didn't work? You've spent $25 therefore on something you got to fix. Or you might as well have just said, I might as well have took light to two $10 notes and a $5 note and just got a match and lit them for all intents. And I bloody had to carry the thing home. Great. So it wasn't exactly like a small item, was it? Carrying it around wouldn't have been great. I do know that some of these people that have got stands will keep it behind the behind the stand for you until you leave. But I sometimes loathe to do that. They might forget me, or I have to carry a piece of paper with me that says I bought it in case they forget, or they might pack up and go before I've even got back there. And so yeah. So you mentioned, how do you decide what to keep or what to get rid of when a new piece of hardware comes or catches your eyes? Simple answer to that is it doesn't. I buy it anyway and then go, where am I going to put it? Take it like this, that teleprompter, it's there at the moment. Where do I put it? Not sure. Will I be doing something with it in the next couple of weeks? Yeah. Better put it over there then. Happens like that all the time. Ought to be better though. Don't do what I do, Keith. It's wrong. Find the space. Make sure you've got enough space. It's ridiculous what us old folks are doing, really. Keep up the videos, and I hope your health journey gets you to a good place soon. Yeah, so do I. I really wish I'd got my letter through. The only post I got this week is a couple of films that I've ordered, and I got to pay for my car tax. That arrived yesterday. Great. Brilliant. That cheered me up. Not that it's that expensive for a diesel. Okay, so salute to you, my friend. Keep doing all your stuff. What a channel you've got. Bloody hell. Wish I could get some of the ingredients, though. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it probably took us 15 years or 20 years to get Cheerios. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. I remember as a kiddie, the excitement that an American was coming to live next door to us when I was a child, because he could get the food from the base, but he also brought some stuff across, and it would all be stuff that I've never heard of, like Hershey Kisses and things like this. And I'm going, wow, this chocolate, this candy, great, all that sort of stuff. Of course, when I went over to the States myself and I didn't go into all hotels. I stayed in motels that have their own stoves and things. I did have the fun of finding a saucepan in one of those places and going, I'm going to go to a 7-Eleven and try cooking something. So I bought some beef and I bought some stock and so forth. And I made a shepherd's pie as best as I could. And it was awful. I've made it loads of times over in England. We tend to boil the mince, but you fry it first and then put it in with the stock, and it softens up and it's lovely. I don't know if it was because it wasn't British beef or something. But the mashed potatoes, I couldn't find King Edward spuds. You know what I mean? Potatoes. It was all American potatoes. And they wouldn't mash up properly. Couldn't get them to mash like British mash. Don't know. My taste palette is obviously 53 years or more of UK. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't surprise me. Anyway, on to Colin Jones. Here we go. So tempted to get a teleprompter, you say. I'll tell you, I'll do a little thing about it. So far, I'm impressed. Just haven't had a lot of time to play with it. My comment last week went missing, probably due to calling a political figure out. Sounds like Steve's got caught in the same reason. I do make an effort to pronounce awkward words correctly. Of course you do, matey. I was just having a tit-for-tat laugh with you. You can go in my pool when you visit. Thank you very much. And thank you for the open invite. You never know. That might happen. I've been to Brecon. How far away are you from Brecon? See, Breccon's not too far from Gloucestershire. And Gloucestershire is not that far away from Oxfordshire. So you can imagine getting to Brecon, the Brecon Hills, and then carrying on forward to Cardiff and Barry Island is not that much of a trek, really. Still a bit of a journey, though. Without turbo loaders, the C64 tape speed was made worse because everything is saved twice. Yes, it used to do a load and then a check. But yeah, it says worse because everything is saved twice. Yes, it was. When it loads, it compares the second run with the first and will throw an error if there are any mismatches. Yes, it does. Almost like a cyclic redundancy check that we have on CDs. The trailers reminded me of the news that Sony are to cut Blu-ray production. Your thoughts? There's a comment that I've made with a bloke called Jeff Rousio. He's one of my people that I go to when I'm looking at film reviews. There's a misconception in regards to Sony destroying Blu-ray. They're cutting production of blank media, and they've done new deals with the Hollywood studios to produce more 4K discs, and the Blu-ray market is shrinking. So they haven't killed anything, really. What they are doing is does anybody really record on Blu-ray anymore? That market is shrinking. Cut that. Is the main concentration and focus now 4K? Yes. Should we therefore diminish the numbers for Blu-ray for our releases? Yes. So a lot of people saw an article that week and thought another physical media disaster and Sony are killing off Blu-ray. You can see how a news headline can be perceived, I think, really, with that one. My question: what are your favourite obsolete media formats? This could be media that's no longer produced at all, or even media that's still produced but are now more niche, e.g. vinyl records. Yeah, an obvious one is vinyl records, isn't it? For me, I miss Laserdisc. I had that for such a short period of time, but loved every minute of my Laserdisc days. A poor format, a format that lasted longer than what most people think, because it was around from the late 70s in America. Even so, the packaging of that stuff was gorgeous. It was it's same way as vinyl. You got a CD, your little booklet was the size of a CD, like that. You bought a double album, it was bloody like this, and any booklet in it was that big as well. So, you know, horses for courses. Yes, I miss VHS. I won't deny it. The amount of time that I spent getting blank tapes, recording episodes, editing out the adverts, learning, getting an awful lot of experience on editing adverts out, because mine had a record head that you could pause with the record head paused. So you could actually unpause it and it would do a perfect join. I even had a jog shuttle on my video recorder. It was a Panasonic, cost me a fortune. It was like 700 quid. Had 12 heads, I think. Yeah. They tried to do a perfect still pause, but I don't think anybody ever did. HD DVD. Yeah, let's talk about that for a moment. When the Blu-ray war and the HD DVD war were going on, I so wanted HD DVD to win. Not because I'm anti-Sony or anything like that. It's the fact that I thought, when I looked at the pictures, because I had a Blu-ray player and a HD DVD player, when I put them both on, there was a slight difference in the picture quality, geared mostly towards HD, I found. But they used what they call different codecs back then. So one film was better and another one was worse, and it's the same on the other side. It was better and then worse on the other side. All depends on what codec, whether they use MPEG 2, whatever it was. There was a compression, and whichever way you looked at it, it catered better for one film than another. Where was I going with this? Yeah. The only other thing, so I do miss HD DVD. I'll tell you why. The menu system was better. Oh my god. I think Java is on HD DVD, and it's HTML, is it, for Blu-ray? Not sure. Whichever way you look at it, you put in a HD DVD disc and the menu came up. Far more things you could do than the Blu-ray one. Blu-ray one, you were lucky if it said choose a scene selection. You know what I mean? Still like that now. I'm going to mention one that's not down and out and gone. That's MIDI. I love MIDI. There is a MIDI V2 standard, but there are also substandards of MIDI called GS, XG, and GM2. That's right. My keyboard plays them all. But if you go on the internet and you look for MIDI songs to download and all that sort of stuff, you'll tend to find everything's general MIDI. They don't use these extended formats of MIDI. And it's a shame, because my keyboard would love it, because it would map then to instruments that my keyboard has got. MIDI's not dead, but it almost certainly should be by now, really. But the standards, there's hardly any using them. They always use the bottom lowest denominator for MIDI, which is just standard MIDI, GM MIDI. So there we go. Thank you so much, my salute to you. You've had a couple of answers from Denny. If I do read them out quickly, Denny put, Sony are only cutting Blu-ray recordable discs, calling Jeff Russo, whose previous channel about home confirmed the news. Yeah, was it Jeff Russo I mentioned? Right, I've got him as Jeff Rausio, which is Rauseo. I wrote mine down from the web, but Maybe Denny's right with the spelling. Don't know, but yeah, he's got a good channel on it. Colin answered, "That's good news at least," which it is. Getting close to the end. In fact, we are at the end, and the last one is from Video Nasty Film Royalty, and that is Mondo Chelloveck Movies. Now, I've been following this guy for a number of years, and I've been so scared to actually write a comment in his box about his videos until just recently. Even Nigel said I was stupid for doing that, but I said, well, it is when you watch something for years and they've answered so well that you haven't really got another opinion on something. And if you did have another opinion, you'd think you'd be laughed at. You know what I mean? Because they know more on the subject than you do. So that's my bit of history with Mondo. But he's put, let me read this out to you. By the way, sub to all these guys that have got channels. Hi, Delboy. This is Mondo's butler here, as he is too royal to use a mobile phone. Oh, what an opening. What an opening. Seriously, thanks for the mention on this video. And as I always say, there is no such thing as a big channel. We are all in it together to have fun and enjoy the ride. Yeah, but you're still up there, matey. I'm sorry. It's like white gloves. Treat you with white gloves on, you know what I mean? You mentioned Patrick Troughton was your favourite Doctor. I agree. He is really good. What's your favourite story of his? And I'll go and watch it. Cheers again. And I'm now going to flog a servant in my castle. I'm sorry, but that's probably going to be the best comment this week. Definite. Please go and visit this guy. I'll tell you what he's done a little bit later on in this blog, in the relevant section. What would I recommend for Troughton? Wow. It's very difficult for me because I sort of watched them in order, and I've therefore grown with the character and then been upset when he's not there anymore. Most people would just, without a blink of an eye, would just turn around and say, Tomb of the Cybermen, right? And they wouldn't be wrong in mentioning that. But it's not the best. It's not the best story. I've had more enjoyment with an episode called Web of Fear, which is the second abominable snowman story set in the London Underground. That's a fantastic story, and I would say better than Tomb of the Cybermen, and that's got to be recommendation gold there and then. But then you've got the iconic Invasion, which is in the last season of Troughton, with the Cybermen going past St Paul's Cathedral. It's 6 episodes long, a bit paddy, in regards to, it could have been 4 episodes really. But all I look at the 6 episodes is great, more for Patrick Troughton to act in. Let it continue as best as possible. And from that point of view, then it's very much a Marmite decision. This one, it's very much a, oh my god, did you really say that? And that is, I would probably say that War Games, the last Doctor Who for Patrick Troughton, a whopping 10 episodes long, is probably his best story. It's definitely a story of 2 halves. The second half being about renegade crime lords, the first half being about the war games, basically war zones, fighting each other with timey-wimey things going on. You leave one quadrant, you enter another, and you're in a different year or a different part of the battle. So yes, I would say War Games is probably my number 1. But oh my god, when I think of Web of Fear, oh, so good. So, any one of those, matey. Tomb of the Cybermen, Web of Fear, Invasion, Moonbase, War Games. Funnily enough, two of those, one, two, three of those are Cybermen stories, believe it or not. Three of them. Amazing. Didn't think that many. And that's the end of the comments. Thank you so much, guys, for all of that. We're going to move on to watched on YouTube, but I'm just going to take a small break. You can probably imagine now that my throat has been getting quite dry, and I've been moving in my seat a little bit more than normal. So just bear with me, and I'll be back in a tick. And I'm back. Literally a couple of minutes. Just got myself another drink. And we get to watched on YouTube. And as you know, there are two, well, I watch religiously every Saturday. That's This Week in Retro and Techmoan. Only this week, Techmoan didn't do anything that I know of. I haven't checked to see if it came late, but it definitely wasn't around at 10 o'clock or at 1 p.m. when I checked again. But This Week in Retro was pretty, well, always good. There's always good stuff there. He did LGR is 15 years old, which, by the way, I think I mentioned last week. There's a new version of Final Fight on Amiga, which uses some copper routines, which makes it look wonderful and sublime. Can't fault that. And wasted money on Steam games. What a topic. One that Jambon and I talk about an awful lot. I wouldn't do what they said, and that is make your games public. Go to a website, link it, and then find out how much of your collection you've played, how much you haven't, and then how much, therefore, is money that you've wasted. It's not going to be very accurate anyway, because I bought most of mine in sales or in charity stuff, and they will list it as full price. But yes, wasted money. We've talked about it a lot. I thought of it as a topic for Mamemeister a long time ago in his Discord channel, as something that he might want to discuss. But I suppose it doesn't really hit the nostalgic button an awful lot. It's not talking about Commodore 64 or Spectrum and stuff. But it's never been a more brilliant time for you to build up game collections for very little money. I'm forever giving away codes in Discord channels. And from that perspective, am I wasting money? Well, yes, if the code goes dead. But, and of course, I've mentioned many times that the reason that MAME got so awkward for me in the later years is that I couldn't see the wood for the trees. All the different games, there's thousands of them. It will probably take until I die to actually go and get to every single one of them. That's not the point, though, really. You buy things generally in packs that build up your collection, and you've always got the intention, I'll load that at least once at some point in the future. There's going to be a time when I retire. There's going to be a time where I've got 2 weeks off on holiday and it rains through every bloody day of it. And I'm going to want to settle back and just play some games and get rid of some of these ones that I have never played. But then there are people that are got a very, very good brain. One of them is Steve. The amount of times that I've wanted to get him a game in the early days, and he said, I'll never get to it. I'll never play it. Please don't waste your money on me. Which is not a nasty thing to say. He was just turning around and saying, really, my collection has got games that I want to play. And this one might be one that either doesn't suit me, or it would just be stuck there doing nothing, or whatever. We all have two different sorts of brains and minds when it comes to this, and it's a fantastic topic to do a YouTube thing on. And it's being talked about more now because we're in eras and years where people are going to food banks, can't afford these things. So, I've curbed a little bit. When a sale comes along, it used to be, right, I've got 50 quid put by. Let's buy that. And I get to the end and I go, oh, there's some classic ones there. I'll probably install one of them, play that one. Then all my time is taken up. I'm back at work doing whatever it is. And all the other ones were just a waste. What the hell did I buy those for? So yeah, I think there is a good site though if ever anybody wants to think about games. Let me see if I can find it, because I think I put it in my gaming websites folder, but I might not have. It was a site which tells you about the sales, and it then tells you about whether it's officially the lowest price it's ever been. Have a look. Christ, I've got to really tidy my web links up. No, can't find it. I'll look once more. I don't want to spend too much time with silence. No. So I won't bore you with it, but you can actually do a search for Steam database, I think it's called. And when you go in there, you don't have to link up your account. You go to the tab that says sales, and it tells you then what's selling at the moment, what's the biggest percentage it's been off, what's its highest position, what's its current positive nature and review. So you can put them into any order that you want, and then basically you can just go down the list, and there'll be a mark next to the game that will say lowest it's ever been, lowest in the last 2 years, whatever. And you'll see games that are there that are normally £5 and you can get them for 57 pence, and it will say that's 90% off and the lowest it's ever been, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, well worth doing little searches like that in Google, or whichever is your search engine of preference, and having a little look. So that was this week in retro, and we moved to some other ones that just came up in my list. There's the Jeff Rousio, which we talked about earlier, where his title of his video this week was Sony is not killing Blu-ray and physical media, and we talked about it a little bit earlier in answer to Colin's statement. Nothing wrong with Colin's statement. I read it as well as that, and then when I read a bit further, I went, oh, what they're doing is just minimizing the market. Okay, I get it. The next one that I watched was something called The Originals, and it was a little documentary of about 10 minutes that talked about Douglas Tumbrell, who is a sort of like a little boyhood sort of like special person to me, because like Ray Harryhausen, who did special effects, Douglas Tumbrell did miniature work, and this one was called Lighting the Enterprise and Other Effects. So he was talking about his work on Star Trek the Motion Picture the most, and how he was lighting it up, the discussions on how it was going to be lit up, how miniature work was in its highest point it had ever been, how he used little people that you could see in space to give sense of scale, all sorts of stuff. Fantastic. I was engrossed all the way through that. There was another one called, well, I can't pronounce it. It's Walkerd, Walkrio. And this one was a video called 5 Best Audio Players for Amiga OS 3. I'm always intrigued at little Amiga videos that come up. It's not a dead system. I've got an A500 Mini. I have got an A1200 still as a physical device. I wish I still had my A1000, but I've only got so many devices that I can keep. Those are in lockup apart from the Mini. I play on the Amiga on my Mister. And of course, so OS free, I keep a little eye on. And of course, it's interesting to know that one of the things that we wanted to do probably was play audio on our Amigas. We never really got the right bit rate and programs that would do it well. They were there, but it's nice to know that things have advanced. And some people, you see, still don't have PCs, actually have Amigas as their choice of PC. So it's interesting, really, just to go back and look at some of these things sometimes. The next video I watched is from It's a Pixel Thing. It was 25 games that define the Amiga 1200. And I was intrigued by this because I was thinking, you know what? I've watched so many of these sort of videos, and I'm always looking at them as the like top 100 Amiga games, not ones that use the AGA chipset in particular. So it was interesting to look at that. And I suppose you could look at them, and every time you look at them, you go, well, they're not that much different than the A500 ones when you look at them from a singular point of view, you know, just as a static picture. But if you do load them up, you will notice things are a bit smoother. The colours are definitely there. The parallax is a bit different. And oh my God, yeah, you can see that the AGA set was used. But the problem with the AGA set that was on the Amiga that came out, it wasn't enough. There was a better set that they were working on, and they just never finished it and didn't bring it out, which is such a shame. It would have probably have kept the Amiga going a bit longer, but that's history for you. Maybe it wouldn't have. PCs were just rocketing along. It was a behemoth. It was more money was being put into the advertisement of PCs than at any other time, and everybody that went into a shop came away with a PC over anything else at the time. And then we've got John Hancock, because he did a review of the first look at Neosprint, which I mentioned earlier that I bought as a game for both Mamemeister, and I bought my own copy. And he came to sort of like the same sort of conclusions as me. There's a few little things wrong with it. A couple of patches would probably fix those. It's a little bit on the pricey side for what you get. Lucky for me, I bought it at the time where the sale is going on, so it was even cheaper. But that doesn't take away the enjoyment of it. Neosprint is a great game. Wonderful game. If you've got the money, have a little look for it. It's the only one I know of that sort of genre that's come out in the last 2 years that actually has the whole map on the screen without it having to have a car that you trail. Do you know what I mean? So basically, if you overtake, you never get to see the other cars all the way around the track. If you've got it all on the same screen, you can see them all. Fantastic thing to have if it makes everything a little bit small. And then we move on to my friends in the film side of things. I love my films as much as I love my games and my comics. Notice I don't do one about comics. Might start taking away some of these and bring some of those in. It's as equal a part of my hobby as anything else. So the first one was Rock God. He did a video on 2 video nasties and an Iron Maiden present. Always entertaining. Got a great respect for Nige. We don't talk as much as anymore, but that's not to say that we're not still friends or anything. It's just that he's got his health issues, I've got mine, and he's operating in a circle of chat stuff that I'm not subscribed for, so I don't know about them as much. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, brilliant. Do subscribe to these people. Rock God 2004. You won't be disappointed. Absolutely fantastic. Same with Euphoria Pictures. What a guy this person is. So slick. He's brought out. He started to settle back and start showing off some of his collection. And why not? Why have them just on the shelf gathering dust? Show them off to people. What there was out there and what you would have missed. But always remember that the deeper you delve into Euphoria, the more he's trying to help you on where you can find some of these hidden gems. because you could still get them. So he did Back to the Future Plutonium Edition. I missed that one. The Haunting comparison review, and the latest 4K and Blu-ray pickups. So a nice balanced week. Great entertainment out of all of those 3 videos. Then you got Playtendoguy, Pete, who was the first person who let me onto his chat engine side for film stuff. He's done some more pickups for movies, and he's done a PS5, PS4, Switch game pickups as well. And what a collection! My God, he's definitely on the ball with the newer stuff. It's nice to look back sometimes and be retrospective, just like my channel is. But I will mention that life still moves on, and there are people out there that are getting equal enjoyment playing some PS5 stuff, Switch stuff. I've got those consoles. I don't play on them as much. The games are too expensive, in my opinion. But hey, if you've got the money, there's some crackers out there at the moment. Some fantastic deals as well. It's not only Steam that are having a sale, you know, at the moment. Everywhere else does as well. Then you got Jim Jam Movies. Well, I love Jim Jam. Jim Jam and I have been talking a little bit now in the last couple of weeks on where he's been getting some of his charity stuff from. I've just come across him in the last couple of weeks, but we now talk on Facebook Messenger. He's just been made redundant, which is such a shame for him. Denny and I have tried to help him, but he can't drive. So he went for an interview, and I wished him well. I hope you got that, matey. I hope you don't have to wait too long to find out if you've gone from one job to another with only a week to spare between the two. It'll be an exciting time for you if that does occur. But anyway, he did a pickups from a charity store. And he commented to me and said he was a little bit upset. And I said, "Oh, why is that then, Jim Jam? Why were you upset?" He said he got a comment that said what he was doing in buying videos that he'd already got from charity stores for a pittance and taking them into keks, whatever you want to call it, keks, to get a bigger voucher so that he could buy for his own goods. Was a pretty nasty thing to do. For which I then pointed out to him and said, I wouldn't pay any attention to it, matey. In my opinion is this: the charity store put it out on a price and you bought it. I'm not going to go to that charity store. It's 50 miles away. Are there other collectors that are out there? Yeah. Did they have an equal right to get to it? Yeah. Did they? No. So you got there first. It's first past the winning line. Have you then kept it? No. You've passed it on to another place. The bad news about that is they put their inflationary price on it. But you can still, if the collector still wanted it, you could get it, and it'd still probably be cheaper than Amazon. Who knows? I don't know. But why is that different than somebody that goes around car boot sales, looks at the back of the boot, buys stuff that they've already got, and then goes into all sorts of stores or sells it on eBay under their own store? Why is it any different than that? No, matey, don't feel bad. It's an interesting topic. You could probably do a poll on it, you know, like ask all your subscribers, is what I'm doing selfish? I would definitely turn around and say that there are always two faces to the coin on something like that. But as far as I'm concerned, the charity still got their money. I mean, does anybody go into a charity store, see a DVD on the shelf, see it's £1, take it to the counter and say, do you know what? You could put that for 15 quid, love, up, because that's a hard one to get, and then walk out the store? Do they? Buggery. Of course they buy it. And they go out there and they go, ho, 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 got something for £1. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. No, don't get het up over crap like that, matey. And I know how bad it is to be trolled and have a comment that make you feel down for a couple of days. But in this particular instance, you got nothing. Hold your head up high, matey. Yeah. Then we get to Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Oh my God, what a man. He's become such a stay point now in my life. that I don't know quite what it would be like for me on a Wednesday anymore if I weren't doing what I'm doing. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about here, how much stuff he's actually done. So here we go. We've got Day the Earth Stood Caught Fire review, Amazon gift package from Sean, the Crow review, the Free Doctors review, Oppenheimer review, and then a live with me, along with album reviews and X-Files reviews. My God, the man doesn't stop. Stop, man, for God's sake. No, carry on with this passion of yours, matey. You've got bad health. YouTube is something that makes you smile and get up in the morning and do things. You entertain us. You're incredibly generous with your help in trying to grow my channel. And fun to talk to. Absolutely. I've had a blast. Thank you so much. And please, guys, go out there and sub him when you can. Sub all these guys. If you can, sub me. You know what I mean? I want to be around. I want to feel wanted and needed. You know what I mean? Seeing the numbers goes up gives me great sort of like a sort of lovely, wonderful feeling of accomplishment. I do it for fun. I'll continue to do it because I find it fun. But it's nice to feel there's all these people that equally find it fun watching it. Do you know what I mean? And the subscriber bit is one of those things that I don't get fixated by it anymore, and it doesn't mean anything. We all know all of this. But I keep telling people that are up to 10,000 votes, okay, then drop every single one of your subscribers, start again, and then stick at 200 subscribers for the next 3 years. And wonder to yourself, why was it that I had 10,000 and I've only got 200 now? And whether you're and how that will make you feel a little bit. It is a stupid question. It is a stupid thing to say, possibly, but I do feel sometimes that I do a good enough thing that I would like it to grow my channel a little bit. I'm not looking at monetary. I'm not looking for gifts or any of that sort of stuff. And I don't put any of those banners up that say like, subscribe, and all of that sort of stuff. I'm a little thing that does a blog that is specifically set for my nephew and niece. And if you guys get a kick out of watching it, brilliant, fantastic. Thank you so much. And the last one is Mondo, Chelloveck Movies. He did his top 10 bands of all time and a massive parcel from his friend Dave Ramirez, I think is the name. I can't pronounce that or read my writing. But we heard about Mondo earlier on. He's watching my channel. I'm just so happy about that. So it makes me smile to know that there's a person there that wanted my opinion on something. That's the thing. A person is asking me an opinion on something, which makes me feel like I know more about it than he does, or what's wrong with asking for a bit of advice now and again. What a guy. What a nice guy as well. Nice, one of the nicest guys out there. Definitely go and sub to him immediately. And then we get to your YouTube. I used to call it your YouTube because it was the side that I did the most. It was my friends that are subbed here, that are in Mamemeister's Discord channel, and what you stuff had brought out. And if I could promote it, I would. And that's what this is here for. So we got Down the Rabbit Hole. He did a free printed fix for my Star Wars model, which is brilliant. I don't have a 3D printer myself. Maybe it's something that I'll get, but I've got no space for it, to be quite honest. And let's make a Dungeons and Dragons potion of water breathing. What a fun little video. See what I mean? Who makes videos like that? Let's make a water breathing potion. I used to play in Dungeons and Dragons, which is a fictional board game, where you explore dungeons and you might need to swim underwater for a bit longer and stuff like that. Basically, it was a way for him to get rid of some of his alcohol. He's got this blue Coroco or something like that it's called. He mixed it with mint and cucumber and cider even and something else. And he made it look just like a water-breathing potion, because in D&D that potion's green. It definitely came out green. And he drank it and didn't find it bad. He wasn't going to exactly rush out and buy it. But it's not supposed to be a liqueur. It's supposed to be a potion. So, mission accomplished. Thank you so much. And what an entertaining 20 minutes that was. Robert's Retro Gaming. What can we say about Gaming Royal and Robert's Retro Gaming other than, oh my God, man, slow down. Jesus Christ. No, don't slow down. Love your channel. Every day I've got something to watch. So what have we got this week? We've got Minecraft episode 33, Minecraft in episode 119, Dwarf Fortress episodes 10 and 11, the Spectrum Games gameplay of Repton and Fred. Repton was a weird one to choose, to be quite honest, because I look at Repton as being a BBC game. Yeah, it's on other systems, but I would have played that on the BBC, really. But that was great as well. Atari 8-bit games on a game called Erg and Blueprint. They were both quite good. Quite like the look of those. A SNES game called Raiden Triad, I think it was called, which is Raiden, the arcade game, and the third in line, so I think that's why it's got try in it. Nice that he's showing a bit more modern stuff to go with some of the retro stuff, you know. Atari ST Exelon, which I think I played more on the C64 Exelon, I think, if I remember rightly. And the Commodore 64 game called Vixen, which is a very a game known to C64 users, probably not for a good thing. So, oh my God, total all that up, you've got a week of good stuff to watch. Thank you, my friend. Keep it up. What a great haul. And of course, it goes without saying, please sub. Colin Jones, aka Ponder, did a Tubers High Score challenge on something called Speed Rumbler. I played Speed Rumbler once on MAME, never went back to it. Very interesting. He's doing well. Some games suit people more than others. He's not doing too badly on that one. Keep up the good work, matey. Seb's Place, you know that we've been talking about him now for months and months and months and months and months. And when you consider what he did back in the early days to what he's doing now, the video quality is just astronomical, absolutely fantastic. And he did a great little 8-bit battle this week. It was the 8-bit battle of Green Beret on the Commodore 64, the Spectrum, and the Amstrad CPC. And a fair review it was as well. Only thing I have a problem with Seb's Place with those 8-bits is the scoring system. I tend to find, unless you state your case on how you're reviewing the graphics, whether it's the capabilities of the machine or how close it is to the arcade conversion, are two separate different things. What would be an 8 on a Spectrum is 4 on a Commodore 64 or whatever. You know, it all depends on the effectiveness of those graphics. That's what I would say. But when it comes to arcade conversions, always a difficult one, because I always look at it as, if you've got a slogan that says play the arcade game at home, then by God it better be as close to the arcade as possible. And if those graphics don't match up, it's not bringing the arcade home at all then, is it? But mostly in the gameplay department for that. So then we got 20th Century Gaming, who did a Commodore 64 live stream last night with Rach and Ox and a load of my friends. We had a ball. He played some games like Lazy Jones and the Ice Castle game, Frostbite, a few others. That was a great evening. Loved that. And then we got Mamemeister, my friend Mamemeister, who's done a Friday Waffle live this week. and a Sunday game stream live on Sunday, for which I hope he'll be doing the same again this Sunday. And that's the end of the blog in regards to what my week has been like. And it's been a pretty packed one. Always remember, though, guys, that this is a blog. It's like a diary. Just like a diary, it's very personal to me. I'm giving an insight into my world a little bit. And I like to help out. So this next section is just one particular way I help out. What I've bought this week in the when it comes to movies. So, we'll change the camera, of course. I keep forgetting to do that. There we go. This one I bought in a charity shop, although I didn't pass it on. This one's for me, and it's sealed, which is why it was a little bit more expensive. A Blu-ray for $5 always will get my attention. This one is for an old film called Hawk the Slayer, which is a network release. You can see that in the corner. Just like anything with the ITV and the network symbol, it will be short on a lot of extras and things. It is a film of its time, 1981, sort of a sword and sorcery type thing, but so enjoyable. One for my kid, I probably would have watched at Cinema Club if it weren't for the fact it was a little bit later on. 1981 is a little bit further on in there. Then there is this that came from HMV. It was on pre-order. It took a bloody long time to get to me. I've had it on pre-order, by the way, for about 3 months. Don't know why it took so long. But it's Crimson Peak, which I recommend you go to Playtendoguy for a review on. I got this just like him a little bit in a sale. Because although I ordered it at the pre-order price, when it actually did get to me, they discounted it. It said, you've made some savings. That's the first time I'd got a savings email from HMV. So, lovely looking box. Look at that. I'll just hold it up. It really is gorgeous. I might be able to put the backups in focus enough for you to freeze frame. Brilliant. Gonna play Playtendoguy. You've got Steelbook of Back to Black. Amy Winehouse. What a divided character and what a troubled character. Seen so many documentaries on her. Looked forward to seeing this at the cinema, but never quite got around to it. It's a nice looking Steelbook, if a little bit bland. I've seen the film now. I saw it digitally before the release turned up. I would recommend to anybody that's watched it to watch a documentary either immediately before or after. The film is a dramatization of a biography, just in the same way that the Jolson story or anything else is there. And so therefore they take a little bit of license and they don't go into depth in certain areas that you wish they did. Saying that though, Marissa Abella, who plays Amy Winehouse, did a tremendous job. She learnt to sing the songs as well, so they're not lip sync mime stuff. A great little film. If you can get this in a sale, do so. On Steelbook, it's a little bit pricey for the film itself's quality. As a standard edition, it probably a lot of people will say exactly the same. Little bit pricey for what it is. Much can be said about this next one then, which is an absolute classic. It's the 30th anniversary of Forrest Gump, and they've released yet another Steelbook of it. This one, though, comes with 3 discs. It's a lovely looking book, and I believe it's got some a poster or something, or art cards. It's one that I will do probably an unboxing of. It's worthy of a lot of people's attention, but it's a film also that a lot of people have seen. I wouldn't be telling anybody anything new or on what you probably wouldn't already know. I mean, it's 30 years old now, so that's another reason for it. And then a couple that were just too cheap for me not to buy. I was looking at buying something from HMV and it was below £20, and it said if you do increase your purchase above £20, you get them for free, postage. And these cropped up as £5 each. They are Marathon Man, a classic film, an absolute must of a film to watch. A £5. It's a steal, part of the Premier collection. I don't think anybody that mentions the Marathon Man and not think, oh, the dentist scene. The dentist scene makes me itch every time I watch it. Given no Novocaine, given no painkiller of any sort, a guy sits him down in a torture chair, gets out his dentistry stuff and starts drilling. I'll say no more. That whole section is riveting from that moment. My God, makes my teeth itch just thinking about it. And the last one, a bit of an oddity, one with a fantastic score by John Barry. Got a fantastic actor, Sean Connery. Audrey Hepburn hadn't been seen on the screen for years and years and years. If that hasn't given you an indication to what this film is, maybe you'll be shocked and have a shock surprise on this one. It's a very old film, which I've loved to watch on TV when it's been on. I've never owned it on DVD, Blu-ray or Laserdisc, but I've watched it time and time again on VHS and on TV, and that is Robin and Marian. Another take on Robin Hood. Have you ever noticed that when you watch a Robin Hood film, 9 times out of 10 happy endings? You know, it always stops off at some segment where Richard the Lionheart comes back, or the Sheriff of Nottingham has been killed, or he's locked away, or whatever. Only I think Ridley Scott did a Robin Hood that didn't have a happy sort of ending in it. It had a nondescript ending. This one, one of the saddest endings you could ever have in a film. So, and from that point of view, it's worth having in your collection. It's not the best acted film. It's not the best shot film. But the score is fantastic. And it's got a different take on an ending that you'll have in a Robin Hood film. So it's called Robin and Marian. And I might do a capsule review on that. And it was a £5, a bargain. And that's all the stuff I bought. So we now move our attention to the last part, which is trailers. Here we go. And I'll just get rid of all of my comments you saw there. I'm going to shut up. And you're going to look at some trailers. Some of them are the things that you saw in there that I bought. Some of them are things that I watched this week and worthy of mentioning again. You might have already have seen the trailer. The trailers are not in the best of quality. They are what I can find. And what I think I can get away without a copyright strike. So bear that also in mind. But in a podcast, it won't matter. So here we go. I'm going to play some trailers.
This is a big day for Project Mars, General.
All our evidence points to the fact that there is no life on Mars.
This is just the beginning of a major effort on the part of NATO alliance to explore the outer planets.
We have come to a new land. So we shall need new eyes. We shall hear new sounds. As needs have new ears.
Ready.
And there will be new sins.
Colonizing fleet is off at once.
If we meet any hostile Martians, I'm ready for them.
Don't start any war.
Oh, hell, there ain't gonna be no war. They've been prophesying doom for the past 50 years. Ain't happened yet.
This is Mission Control, Expedition 1. Come in, please. Do you read me? Expedition 1.
Damn them! Forgive us.
He came down from the sky and spoke to me.
He said, we are from the third planet.
The germs which actually started the plague being carried there by our first expedition.
I need those 2 reactors desperately.
A few more troublemakers have slipped through.
The ship comes down from space.
You heard what I said.
The fifth of what is right!
I don't follow you.
It has traversed the black velocities, encountering ancient moons.
The president's going to close down the colony.
Still a matter of speculation, of course.
What is justified?
Who are you?
Who's there?
Pick up your weapon.
The president has declared all lines of communication mutually severed.
They're not human.
He is here.
Like a pale leviathan slipping through an otherwise empty sea. It has come down from the stars, and the shining movements, and the silent gulfs of space.
I'm Forrest Gump.
25 years ago, one movie captured the imagination of audiences everywhere and inspired a generation. Forrest Gump. Winner of 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture.
There's lemon shrimp, coconut shrimp, shrimp soup, shrimp stew.
And now, newly remastered.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Forrest Gump, 25th Anniversary Edition. Now on digital Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD.
Ghosts are real. That much I know. I've seen them all my life.
Would you be mine? Edith, this is my sister.
I don't think she's the right choice.
You have to trust me.
Thomas, your bride is frozen.
I'll run you a hot bath.
There are parts of the house that are unsafe. What was that?
A house as old as this one becomes, in time, a living thing. Never go below this level. It starts holding on to things.
Has anyone died in this house? Specific deaths? Violent deaths?
In your own best interest, proceed with caution.
Keeping them alive when they shouldn't be.
If you're here with me, give me a signal. She knows everything.
Do we have to do this? Must we?
Yes. You have no idea what they do. What do you want? I have to leave. You have nowhere else to go. This is your home now. I want people to hear my voice. And just forget their troubles for 5 minutes.
Do you know what girl power means to me? Sarah Vaughan, Lauryn Hill. You need to know this. I ain't no Spice Girl.
From primary school to sell-out concerts. It's going to happen one of these days. Voice like yours, got to.
But it's one of the best I've ever heard.
That's my daughter. That's my Amy.
I met someone tonight.
Stay lucky, Amy.
Got an eye for the bad boys.
The album's #1 around the world. The highest charting album from a British female artist in the US ever.
I don't think I was put on this earth just to sing. I want to be a wife. I want to be a mum.
Probably run off for someone famous anyway.
You're my heartbeat, you're my soul. I love you. I don't bang out 10 hits by lunch. I need to live my songs. So that's what I'm going to go and do.
Ready?
I don't write songs to be famous. I write songs because I've got to make something good out of something bad.
And there we have it. So I hope you've enjoyed this blog. There was a couple of other videos I could have shown there, Marion and so forth, but I think I'm going to watch those first and then probably show the trailer next week. And with that, I just want you to be good to yourselves. Hope you have a great week this week, and I'll be around next week. Hope you'll be there too. Salute. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.